This is the Public Facilities, Arts and Culture Committee meeting. Chair Bradford is out of town and sends greetings. As Vice Chair, I'm calling to order this meeting. Present we have Hager, Henderson, Hurt, Nash, Van Rees, and Young, detecting a quorum. We have 3 resolutions and a bill. I'd like to take all 3 resolutions on consent. Is there any objection to that? Okay. I will go ahead and read the captions. Resolution 2021-1290 accepts an American Rescue Plan Act grant from the Tennessee State Library and Archives to the Metro Nashville Public Library to upgrade the Limitless Library's website to foster educational attainment and equity by providing public library materials and services. Resolution 2021-1291 approves amendments to contract number L4795, a grant between Diamond in the Rough and the Metro government, and contract number L4804, a grant contract between Nations Ministry Center and the Metro government for the provision of free and high-quality after-school programs through the Nashville After Zone Alliance. And Resolution 2021-1295 accepts a child and adult care food program grant from the Tennessee Department of Human Services to the Metro Parks and Recreation Department to provide nutritious meals and snacks for children attending after-school programs in 9 park locations. Do I have a motion on all 3 of these resolutions?
Second.
Anyone have any questions concerning any of these resolutions for our guests? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And I don't detect anyone opposed. Anybody abstaining? Okey-doke, that was good. And finally, bill on second reading. Bill 2021-1024 declares a certain planned road on the Orchard Bend Park property to be a public right-of-way and granting a temporary access easement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Properly seconded. Any questions on this? Yes.
Okay, so I have a question about roads in parks, and when they're public right-of-way, when they're parks property. Obviously on the public works side of things, we have a really big paving budget, and we are just running through them, and we got them prioritized, and we're going, and we're going, and we're going. I hear from constituents often that the quality of our roads in our parks is pretty abysmal, and that we, my impression has been that we have not been sufficiently budgeting from a maintenance perspective to keep our roads, usable for, even if it's just for walking or biking or whatever it is, not necessarily for the purpose of cars, because happily we're closing some roads in our parks and making them more walkable. So I just wanted to ask staff, when we have a road like this, who is going to maintain it, and do you all have a budget to support maintaining it?
You want to start?
So this road, it's a roundabout project at the entrance to Orchard Bend Park, and NDOT will maintain that project.
And how, as I understand it on the NDOT side, Mr. Lynch, how does that work? Because it seems like we have sort of a, each time we do one of those, we look at kind of our neighborhood associations or our adjacent park, or we just kind of figure out how it's going to work, and lots of times it works out great, but it just seems like we're kind of winging it a little bit in this space. Like, this is great. I'm excited to have a new roundabout at the entrance to the park, but I think it just sort of speaks to, do we have a process in place to make sure we can sustain the maintenance on this and that it's maintained at a quality that would be the hope of this investment?
Well, I'm not certain of the final design of this particular roundabout. In other words, depending on what the elements are in the roundabout, clearly cutting grass and things like that, we're we're fine. So our goal, if it's dedicated property, what we're gonna be doing is maintaining it, if it's NDOT property. And as far as the process, if there's gonna be more to it, now let me defer back to Park.
Sure.
What is the final vision for the round, the
So this is the intersection of Pettish Road and Blue Hole Road. Already kind of a transportation intersection issue, and then with the bringing in the Orchard Bend Park, which is open now, that extra traffic kind of, I
And
guess,
the vision for the
exacerbates
actual
problem.
roundabout, the structure, the grassy area in the middle is
Yeah,
there.
so it's a little bit of a road widening.
Okay.
We've given up a sliver of park property that will be part of the right-of-way, and it creates a new entrance into the park at the same time.
So it would be something that Public Works would be able to maintain based on, if the issue is the roads, clearly, public roads are gonna be ours. Then the grassy area in the middle would continue to be ours. If it were to change, then that might be something else that would have to be done in terms of getting approval, if it were gonna be added statues and things like that.
Okay, but I guess my question comes because when we do these complete streets projects, right, like as I understand it, you know, Ms. Smith previously on the beautification side, like, I mean, she had a laundry list of projects that internal to the kind of the bid of the project with all the, you know, all the pretty landscaping and everything. You know, again, it was happening contracted for the purposes of that complete streets project or that roundabout project or that whatever, and it just doesn't seem to me that we've kind of operationalized on the staff side. You know, if we're gonna scale up delivering roundabouts, which I think is a good thing, like, you know, again, not in opposition to what's happening here at this time, I think that's great, but I think it affords us the opportunity to say, how are we doing these? Because what I feel like we've been doing is working it out, kind of how it works the best at this location, and not saying like, we want to do a lot of these and how that's gonna be.
Let me take that back to NDOT to make certain that, let me take that back to talk about how can we address your particular concern about, is there a rhyme and reason to how we're gonna go forward with this? And we can, that will not be a problem, especially going forward.
And, okay, and then just, Chair, if I may, back to Mr. Nate. Do you all have a prioritized list of paving projects internal to parks?
The maintenance division has pavement condition assessments for, I don't know if I can say all of the roadways within parks, meaning non-public right-of-way, but park roads. They have condition assessments of most of those roads. So, you know, most of the roads in parks are park roads. You know, there are, for example, Two Rivers Parkway, which bisects Two Rivers Park as a public right-of-way. So it just varies site to site. But we do not have a dedicated, unless we get funding in the capital spending plan for paving, and the same is true for roofs or any other maintenance, then we don't have the funding to address them.
So colleagues, I just want to bring that to your attention because I feel like we got a big paving bucket and a maintenance bucket on the NDOT side, but parks also have a lot of roads, and if we're gonna start to be more progressive about our gateways and doing roundabouts and doing these partnerships, like, you know, I just think we figure, oh, we got 30 million bucket over here at NDOT and we'll get it figured out, but what I see happening in parks in my district is it didn't get paved again, it didn't get paved again, it didn't get paved again, and so I feel like there's sort of a dearth of funding there that we gotta be a little more proactive about making sure, whether it's a roundabout or the road or whatever, so.
If I could add, and I don't think this is editorializing too much, but, you know, lots of park roads, you know, legitimately are internal to the park system.
Right.
There are roads in parks that are connected to the larger transportation system. I'm
Right.
thinking of the roads through Shelby Park, for example.
Right.
That carry a lot of commuter traffic through them on a daily basis.
Right, and I think we've got to be more proactive about that, because from a safe routes to parks perspective, there are a lot of places, like in my district, between the Percy Warner Parks and Edwin Warner Parks, you are crossing some major roads, and you're crossing them in not particularly safe ways, right? And so then I think sometimes we do this a little bit because, oh, that's a park thing, right? And so we don't prioritize it on a public works kind of side of things, so.
I Thank you. I think it brings up an excellent point, as you're restructuring and getting things ready at NDOT, is to see if it's in someone's job description to always work with parks on internal roads, so that the request is not an emergency request for any major repairs. I think it's a good idea.
All right, thanks,
Any
colleagues.
other discussion on this particular road? You know, I'm all about roundabouts, so. You ready? Hey, you know I am.
Let's just not go in circles.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Seeing none against, anyone, need to abstain on this one? All right, cool, we are done. Thank you very much, happy holidays.
And you'll always be young. And you'll always be young.
Is there a next question?
Yes.
Jonathan?